Right, thank you so much again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for that incredible discussion. And now for our next panel, which celebrates visionary leaders who are breathing new life into tradition, fostering craftsmanship, creativity, and modern design to build cultural and economic legacies that endure. For this discussion, please do welcome to the stage Selma Benomar, the founder and creative director of Selma Benomar Creations, Tyler Ellis, Creative Director and CEO of Tyler Ellis LLC, Kate Instone, Founder and CEO of Blush International, Aiala Hernando, Head of Arts and Culture at Electra, and of course your moderator, Jayda Shoukry, Content Producer at Forbes Middle East. Please do put your hands together as we welcome them to the stage.
Welcome, welcome to our amazing panelists and our amazing audience. Now, without even asking, I know and I can pretty much guarantee that we have so many people from so many different ethnicities, from various heritage and backgrounds. So really quick, I want you guys to just introduce which heritage influenced you the most, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Hi, my name is Tyler Ellis, and I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and I have recently relocated to Florence, Italy, where I purchased my atelier where I make my handbags.
Hi, I'm Kate Instone. Hi, sorry. I'm Kate Instone, and I'm the founder of Blush Interiors, which is an interior design company that specializes in private high-end homes, yachts and jets. And I live in Dubai. I moved 13 years ago, but originally I'm from London.
Hi, my name is Aiala, and I'm the head of arts and culture for Electra in Dubai. So I work mostly within the arts and culture space, that being with governments in the region or private entities. I'm part European, part Latin, but have been in the Middle East for a very long time, so it's a true mix for me.
Hi, Selma Benomar. I'm the founder of Selma Benomar Creations. We specialize in designing Moroccan traditional kaftans in a very modern way.
Truly an amazing group of ladies. Now, we're going to go to Florence first.
All right.
Tyler, how do you manage such a luxury brand contributing to, preserving culture, preserving these legacies, but pushing creative boundaries?
For me, collaborations are incredibly important. I love to work with people from all over the world. Most recently, I have a Florentine collaboration, but I work with a mosaic tile factory, which is it's a very traditional art form in Florence, but younger people aren't really enjoying it as much. So I met these artisans and I took their mosaic tiles and we're using them on a clutch to really modernize their product and tell their story to a younger audience, which I think is really special.
This is wonderful, and I think this is something that you can, Salma, obviously relate to, like taking the traditional kaftan and then making it more modern. How do you think that investing in traditional crafts and just creating this social sort of empowerment for communities really gives a lot of people an economic opportunity?
Actually, I do believe that investing in craftsmanship doesn't only help in preserving the beauty of the craft, but it's actually preserving people. Because behind these craftsmanships, there are artisans from all over the world who work with their hands. And they have centuries of knowledge in their hands. So by investing in craftsmanship, you invest in the continuity for the art for those people. We help them making a living. We help them send their children to school. we help them in a lot of ways. So craftsmanship, it's not only about the beauty of what it's the result of the art they are doing, but there are people behind who live from this craftsmanship. So by investing in this, we give them opportunity to create a living for themselves economically.
This is wonderful, and I love that it also preserves the heritage and the identity that is so core to the people. Now we're talking commerce, we're talking culture. How do you think, for you, Kate, especially, this influences fashion and design?
To me, I think that culture, commerce, and creativity are really the three pillars of design. And I think you need all three in equal balance to really produce design of influence. And I'm massively influenced by British heritage. And I often reference John Nash, who I think embodies this really well. So he was a 19th century British architect. And he designed, along with King George IV, Buckingham Palace and Brighton Pavilion. And this couldn't have happened unless we had Nash's cultural curiosity, his innate creativity, and then the king's wallet, basically. So the king paid for it all. And this meant that we could really create these national monuments, Buckingham Palace and Brighton Pavilion. And I think without all three, design just remains an idea.
Now, there's always a pressure for us to sort of conform. As much as we talk about heritage, as much as we say that we want to stand out and honor these legacies, how do you think we can create strategies that are effective to foster innovation, but also honoring cultural heritage?
So I think that when people think about heritage, sometimes they think heritage becomes an obstacle in some way. For me, in the arts and culture space, when you think about heritage, you think about it as the foundation for new ideas. So instead of replicating the past, what you try to do is use it as the base to create new ideas, and then technology becomes the vehicle for that. Instead of technology replacing the traditions or anything like this, you use technology as the vehicle for that transformation. And I think that in that way, you can create a legacy that respects both that heritage and tradition, but is represented in new ways.
Now, I love that you bring up technology, because this is, the core of innovation at the moment. Everything is so reliant on tech. Balancing heritage and innovation to create meaningful, not only cultural impact, but economic impact. I'd love to hear all of you, your takes. Tyler?
Well, of course, you need culture is your heritage, right? And mixing the innovation, they're paired together. One and one, you need them both to grow, right? And if you have a beautiful story, but you can't tell it in a modern way, no one's going to be interested in your product. So it's combining both, I think, is so important. It's the past, the present, and the future. And just telling that beautiful story and letting people understand who you are and adding exciting ways to express it to people.
Absolutely true. Kate?
Yeah, I completely agree with Tyler. I think that you can't separate heritage and innovation. They sit alongside each other, whereby, as you said, heritage brings emotion, brings a story. Innovation will bring us technology and sustainability. So to me, that they make each other more beautiful and more appealing.
Absolutely. Aiala?
To add on to those wonderful replies, it becomes harder to reply after you hear such wonderful ones. But I would say, for me, heritage is the why and innovation is the how, which is a bit similar to what I said before. I mean, we know that everyone is talking about AI now, but what we know is that AI will only make us want more experiences. So I would say focus on the human side and use technology to elevate that.
That is fascinating. I actually think you're 100% correct. The more we get technologically advanced, the more we're looking for actually like something that's very human and very centered in who we are. Selma?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that heritage and innovation, they are not opposites. They go along together. We need both of them. And people like to know the story behind what they see. So heritage is what's giving us this story, and innovation is what is giving us the life and the continuity for this story. So as a designer, the most important is to know how to bridge between these two concepts and to create something meaningful that has a beautiful story depth coming from heritage, but with innovation, we make it relevant for the next generations and living for after.
That is a very interesting point because how do you draw the line between pushing forward, between creating something that's modern, but also honoring the past?
Absolutely. There is a very fine line between heritage and modernity. And the challenge is always to find the right balance between both of them. Between, let's say, respect, because we need to respect the heritage, but at the same time, we need to make it relevant to the modern world and with innovation. So it's a very big challenge and a very fine line between both of them. And I think this is a big responsibility for us designers or creators, that to have the right balance. And once we have found this balance, it just feels natural and beautiful.
This brings me to a very interesting parallel as well. What is one creative boundary that you feel that still needs to be pushed in order for us to truly express ourselves and our heritage? Okay.
I think this is really interesting. For me, I love to try and bring my British heritage over to the Middle East. My interiors are globally relevant, but I like to try and take my English heritage and translate that into an environment that'll also work in the Middle East. So I'm passionate about bringing antiques over here and trying to educate people that it's great and it's also sustainable. So rather than just going out and buying new, it doesn't need to be new. You can use the past, you can bring that into your home, you can reimagine things you already have. And that's what I like to do with heritage. I think there's a connection between sustainability and longevity as well.
This is actually something we've also discussed, like craftsmanship and how preserving that keeps things sustainable, keeps them at the highest possible quality. What's your take on this, Tyler?
Quality to me is luxury. If you don't have quality, you're not a luxury brand. And today, it's a dying art. A lot of the factories in Florence, actually most of them are assembly lines. One person does the hand painting, one person does the stitching, but no one knows how to make an entire product. Back in the day, everyone knew how to make an entire handbag. So I like to call it atelier. They work together as a team, they learn from each other, and together they create these beautiful works of art. And I hope that luxury brands can educate and build schools to help continue to train them and tell stories about the artisans and make it a career that people want to work in again, because young people are leaving and they're leaving Italy, and it's such a specialty profession, and I want it to continue to last.
That is definitely something that is relatable. We all wish to leave like an impact that lasts well beyond anything we do, really. Aiala, I want to get your opinion and your sort of perspective on how do we sort of preserve that heritage? How do we sort of make sure that it lasts?
I would say that there's many things to say about that, but for me, it's the legacy that remains, because true heritage and innovation only come together if it lasts. And that is when you basically, when you deliver something, that being a cultural experience, in my case, because that's my field, or an exhibition or public art, is, if nothing lasts, if it's just ephemeral, it can be really nice, but it's a performance, it's not progress. Therefore, what lasts, what remains, would be defined by the way it's delivered. And I think it's a combination of everything that was said right now.
I want to thank you so much. I think this conversation, if anything, should make everyone realize how much heritage and how much character and personality and story they have within themselves, and how they can apply it to everything in life, no matter the field or the career. Thank you so, so much for your insights, and thank you for being an amazing audience.
Thank you.
Yeah.